with Big D Bubba.
All right, I am so pumped. Are you ready to go?
I am ready to go. Mark Wills is our in-studio guest. Yes, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Are you ready, dude?
I'll tell you what, you boys are loud.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Bubba's the loudest.
I'm sorry.
I tried to hold him back a little bit. Mark Wills, our guest to this edition of Honky Tonkin. Mark Wills is our guest. So glad to have Mark. Mark's also just... You talk about us having energy. You've got energy, man. Good Lord.
Man, I don't know. I feel like I've known you boys my entire career.
I know exactly.
You know, I mean,
speaking of your entire career, first song, was it Jacob's Ladder?
It was. It came out in I believe it was February of 1996.
Wow.
You know, such a great time, man, in all of our lives. I remember, you know, like when we're doing radio tour and we're hitting all these different spots around the country. I remember seeing you guys.
Yeah.
You know, and going to, Lord, I'm trying to think of, you know, the first place I went to, it's actually funny. The very first place I went to, I left Atlanta. And back in those days, we didn't have Weather Channel app. You didn't have any of that junk, right? So I left Atlanta in like January, you know, of 1996 to hit radio tour and left. And got to Kansas City. I think when we left Atlanta, it was like 72 degrees. And I landed in Kansas City, and it was -2.
And blowing like 40 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To this day, I have a Kansas City Chiefs jacket that as soon as I landed, we bought in the airport or somewhere.
What? And you still have it?
I still have it, yeah.
Well,
What?
It's kind of crazy.
Jacob's Ladder, to get you started off, Mark Wills is our guest. We're coming back more with him with Honky Tonkin with Big D and Bubba. Mark Wills is our guest this week. You know, this is a big weekend for you. I don't know if you realize this. You know, this is your Grand Ole Opry weekend.
It's my 6th anniversary as becoming a Grand Ole Opry member.
Back in 2019.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah,
Thank
happy
you,
anniversary,
man. Thank you. Yeah, 2019.
Who brought you? Who did it for you?
Well, it was supposed to be Ronnie Millsap, and Millsap got sick right before he was going to do the induction, and so my buddy Craig Morgan was at the ATA show up in Indianapolis, and he drove home to do my induction.
Wow.
Like a 5-hour drive just to bring you onto the stage and surprise you.
It was a 5-hour drive down and a 5-hour drive back because he was at the ATA show, which is an archery show.
Yeah.
And he drove down and walked on stage and did my induction and went back out and got back in the truck and drove back to Indianapolis.
What?
It was a 10-hour investment of his time to come
As
down.
our pal Tracy and the former host of this would say, let's find out who your friends are.
Amen. You know, I mean, and that's been, you know, Craig and I have been great friends my whole career, or his whole career, you know, because I started out several years before he did, but we did USO tours together. We did all kind of stuff, but that was a really nice thing for him to do, especially kind of at the last minute when, you know, because as they start the process of inducting somebody, they say, okay, who would you like to do it? And I had told him, I was like, you know, Vince is the one who asked me to be a member, and in a perfect world, I would have loved to have had little Jimmy Dickens,
Sure.
or I would have loved to have had Jim Ed Brown, you know, somebody that all of us were all very good friends with,
And they were
loved.
just staples on the Opry.
Absolutely, they were absolutely. And so I said, would it be possible for Millsap to do it? And they were like, I think we can, you know, probably make that happen. And like a 2 days before, a day before, he got sick. And you know, and Craig happily drove down. I don't know if he happily drove down.
Probably. You don't want to know. Well,
but he said it. He said he was happy to do it.
You know,
Happy
I've never
Grand Ole
seen him really unhappy.
Mark Wills is our guest this week on Honky Tonkin. More on the way. Mark Wills is our guest this week, and getting the behind the scenes of some of these great songs. So many hits that you had and continue. Just you're so talented.
Still waiting for 20-something.
No, gee, that's right.
Oh, it was 2020 something.
We were like, hey, can you get an update on it? Places I've never been, though. This song, give us a little behind the scenes on this song.
I'll tell you something cool that nobody really knows about this song unless you're in the publishing world or you were here back in, you know, the early to mid 90s. Jeff Carson sang the demo on this.
Did he really?
He did. So Tony Martin, who wrote a lot of my songs, and I did a lot of his demos early on in the days. That's kind of how I got my record deal. And you know, like everything else, you have songs and they get pitched to different artists, and especially back in the mid 90s, you know, when country was really hot, those story songs were really, really hot. anytime that something like that popped up, boom, boom, it was gone. It was gone to 50 different people.
Right.
And for whatever reason, this song was actually written for George Strait.
Really?
And
Which makes sense when you listen to it.
Because Tony wrote Baby's Gotten Good at Goodbye and several other things kind of in that same vein. It was written for George Strait, and they brought Jeff Carson in. Jeff sang the demo on it, and did a pretty good job at the same kind of inflection stuff that Strait would do. They pitched it to him, and I don't know if George ever heard it. I don't know that he ever heard the song.
I hope he didn't, and I hope he's like, man, I wish I'd have heard that.
Well, there is another story that goes along with that.
Okay, well, let's play the song, and then you tell about that.
Okay, absolutely.
Places I've never been. Mark Wills is our guest on Honky Tonkin. Places I've never been. Mark Wills is our guest on Honky Tonkin.
I sound like a 10-year-old.
You are. You
Well,
look
we
like
all sound like 10-year-olds.
You look like you act like a 10-year-old.
Well, true.
So we catch us back up on the story. This song was supposed to be for George Strait.
It was written for George Strait. I go in and cut it. It becomes a top 5 record for me. We get put on the George Strait tour, the stadium tour, one year, and Sandy Lovejoy, I believe was her last name. She was like the media person for KNIX in Phoenix, starting the tour in Phoenix, and she literally leans forward. We're doing the press conference, and it's like me and McGraw and the Chicks and Jody and Chesney, and we're all up on this table, and she leans forward and she goes, "So Mark," she goes, "I heard a rumor, read somewhere that this song was written for or your latest song, Place I've Never Been, was written for George Strait." And I said, "Yeah, it was." I said, I don't know if he ever heard the song or if they passed on the song or whatever, but I was happy to take the song and record it and have a top 5 record with it, right? And your peripheral vision, all I see is this cowboy hat lean forward and like look over at me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting a Death Star from Mr. Strait down on the end.
That's so great though, and he's passed on songs that he probably everybody's got to regret.
He made it
in this very studio. I told Tracy about the song that I passed on that I regret to this day,
Which was?
and Tony Martin wrote it. Tony and Martin Essler wrote it, and they sent it to me. They sent it to me like 3 times, and they were like, "Dude, do you we wrote this song. I think it's you." And I was like, "Okay." And I listened to it, and I didn't hear it. And then they did a demo, and then I still didn't hear it. And then about 6, 8, 9 months later, I'm driving down the road, and I hear it come on the radio. I'm like, "Why do I know this song?" And it got to the chorus, and it was "Just to see you smile,
no.
I'd do anything." And I was like, "Oh my God, I hear it now." But it happens. It happens to every single one of us. Show me one artist that would look at you and say, "No, I've never passed on a song that was that big a hit." And I'd call them a liar straight to their face. Trace Atkins included, who's like 6'9". But but no, I mean it's true, because we've all passed on songs. We've all not heard something for us because of a demo or whatever, and then somebody else takes it, puts their spin on it, and then it's like, "Oh, I hear it now."
Yeah.
It's just the way it works.
So many great stories. Mark Wills is our guest. We're coming back more with Honky Tonkin with Big D and Bubba. Mark Wills is our guest this week on Honky Tonkin. What are you doing currently? You got stuff happening? I know this is a big weekend.
It's a big weekend for me, playing the Opry on Saturday night. Then going to try to get home because my oldest daughter is expecting a baby. It's like at any moment.
Oh,
like any
why
minute.
are you here?
Well, I was
leave.
Right. I said the same thing, but it is what it is. So my wife and I, so basically the way this whole thing goes down is my wife and I. So my daughter has a 2.5-year-old, and so when they go to the hospital, we take over the 2.5-year-old. And so I told Kelly, I was like, "Look," and I've got a buddy of mine who's got a plane. If I need to get home, I can be home in 35 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
To Atlanta.
Nice.
My truck's here, so that would be the only thing that would be negative about that. But I can get home.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. And I've always played the Opry on my anniversary. I feel like that's one of those nights that if there's a show on the Opry on January 11th, I always try to play it. I always have. So, so I wanted to keep that tradition alive, at least for myself. It's only been 6 years, so but I've played it. I guarantee I've played it every time.
I think it's a good habit to get into, just to do it, because it makes it special every year.
Well, I think that artists that want to become Opry members, I think when that honor is bestowed upon them, that they have an obligation to honor the Opry with their presence, especially on the nights that the night that they can, and I try to do it on. I try to always do it on the night that that I was inducted.
Well, happy Grand Ole Opry anniversary! Mark Wills is our guest, and more with him. Count up on Honky Tonkin. Mark Wills is our guest this week, and so I got to tell you, man. I remember this song that we're about to talk about. I Do. And a song that you did it first, they did it first.
I did it first 2 years before.
And then they came back and stole it. They copied you. They said, "Oh, we love this Mark Wills song. We're going to take it as our own."
I do cherish you.
I hated this group 98 Degrees forever because of this.
It's a testament to a great song.
That's true.
When you think about it, that 90s country, John Michael had several songs that were taken.
All for One band. It was like they were back and forth.
They were all taken and they were made pop hits. And then you get, like Back at One. Back at One was Brian McKnight, and I did a version of that. I think it's that what we had back then was emphasis on great songs. Like I've not heard a country version of WAP.
No.
Probably ain't going to.
Probably not.
We'll make that a thing. You'll hear that by this evening.
I would rather us not.
How about we play I Do? Here we go. Mark Wills is our guest here on Honky Tonkin. I'm almost country enough to not know what you're talking about.
No, you're not.
Unfortunately, I'm
I
not.
think that was a racial slur.
Nope, it was
to
not.
Italians. All right. D, this will be the stop set. Good.
Mark Wills, our guest, and touring this year, doing some stuff. We've got dates on your website and all your social media.
We're updating all that now. We actually just did a thing this past week. Kind of reaching out to folks saying, "Hey, where do you want to see us?"
Yeah,
I think that's important. I mean, there's always the push to go back to the same places that you've been,
sure.
Time and time again, and have great shows and folks come out and support you, and I love that. But I also love to to find, okay, where's some place that maybe we haven't been or somewhere close to that.
Is there somewhere you haven't been?
Well, I mean, yeah. You know what's funny? I'm from Georgia. Okay, I'm born and raised in Georgia. In my entire career, I've played the state of Alabama maybe 4 times. It's weird.
Right next door.
Right next door. Now I've played the last 2 June Jams in Fort Payne, with Alabama.
Right.
But other than that, I've never really played a lot in Alabama. Played very few times in Louisiana. Over 25 years, I probably played there 6-7 times. So that's why we're kind of trying to figure out some places to go to that we haven't been.
People can reach out to you on your website. How they do
Absolutely,
that?
yeah.
On Instagram.
We do everything. I mean, our website has all the official tour dates and stuff like that. A lot of times people will post stuff on Instagram and it's not necessarily correct, or whatever. But yeah, the website markwills.com has our itinerary and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, our social media, Instagram. X, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Mark Wills Music. Yeah.
Mark Wills Music. And he is our guest. We got more with Mark on the way on Honky Tonkin. Mark Wills is our guest, and looking back at so many great songs, your 8th charting song is a song that wasn't done by you. It was a song that you did of someone else's.
Yeah, we were talking about I Do being done by you first, and then 98 Degrees went and took that and made it into a pop song. Is that kind of where this was? It was a little tit for tat kind of thing?
I think what it was Brian. Brian loved country music.
Brian McKnight,
great singer, incredible vocalist. He had put this song out, or was getting ready to put this song out in Universal California which is where he was signed out of. We were new to the Universal brand when they acquired Mercury and all that kind of stuff. They had reached out and they were like, hey, we'd love to have a version of this song country. And, and that's kind of when a lot of those songs were crossing over. And we went into the studio. What's cool, what's weird about this song is that the song right before it was a song that we had, and I think we're going to play it later in the show, called Wish You Were Here. Mm-hmm. If you go watch the Brian McKnight video for Back at One, it is basically the video for Wish You Were Here.
What?
Go watch it.
This is Brian's version. I saw him do an acoustic show one time, and I see what you're talking about with him being a fan of country.
Yeah.
Because
he's an amazing musician, amazing singer, but he likes all kind of music. I think he's a lot like most of us.
Like all of us, yeah.
Yeah.
This is back from 2000. It's Back at One, the Mark Wills version.
The hillbilly version.
Mark Wills is our guest this week, and we're talking about all the different touring that you've done around the country.
Yeah, man.
These honky tonks, that's where the shows, the name originates out of, obviously. Isn't there just a certain energy about these small clubs, country clubs around America?
Absolutely, man. We've played. There used to be a place in Kansas City that we played a lot called the Beaumont Club. It's gone. There's a lot of.
You think that would not be there? You think it would be in Texas? But okay.
Right. Well, there was. That's what I was.
Of course, you got the Texas Club in Baton Rouge.
Exactly. You've got all these little places, these what I call the mom and pops, and they've disappeared because of the big conglomerates coming in and doing different stuff. But man, those were my favorite. Like in the beginning, when we were playing the Westerner, a private club for members only in Salt Lake City.
For members only?
Yeah, because it was in Salt Lake City and it had to be a private club.
Right. Oh,
and they had to
that's true,
say
to
that.
sell alcohol.
You couldn't say, come to the Westerner. You had to say, come to the Westerner, a private club for members only.
Yeah, true.
That's how the whole thing went. And you gave them $1, and the $1 was your lifetime membership, and with your $1, I think you got your first beer free.
Wow.
So it was a game, but it is what
Times
it is.
were easier then. So much easier. Mark Wills is our guest, and we got more on the way. You got it on Honky Tonkin. Mark Wills is our guest, and I've been so excited about this part of the show because I want to talk about 19-something. The song is great. Will we ever get an update? Will there ever be?
I don't think so.
A 2000-something.
You get asked that a lot, don't you?
I do, and the funny thing is that I reached out to the guys who wrote the song, and I said, hey, man, what's the possibility of getting an update on this? And it wasn't. I wasn't shut down.
Yeah,
but it was kind of like, I don't know.
It is what it is. I like
it is what it is.
Letting it be its thing.
So the interesting thing is, though, it's a weird place to be because in music, we oftentimes recycle. And I mean, George Jones was doing cover songs. So it's not like a new thing. Elvis,
right.
Blue Moon of Kentucky, it's something that we do. We bring it in, we make it our own.
Yeah.
It would be, if I was a young artist right now and you're looking for something, you do a 2000s something version, you jump on the Mark Wills bandwagon and you just reinvent something like that. Or what do they do? They call it interpolation.
Yeah, is that okay?
But you know what it won't have in it? Won't have General Lee in that video.
It won't.
tell you that. Mark Wills is our guest. Here it is. It's 19-something on Honky Tonkin with Big D and Bubba. 19-something Mark Wills, and that video, which is one of my favorites. You got the General Lee, you got the Smokey and the Bandit, the Trans Am, 78 Trans Am.
We had the whole thing set up. It was kind of a last minute sort of throw together. We had come up with a couple of different concepts of the video, and I had reached out to Jerry Reed, and I had reached out to to the Bandit himself,
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
I had reached out to him, and I got a yes. And then I got a yes, and then I got I can't because I'm filming a movie.
Scheduling.
And I'm looking back. I'm looking back in my mind, and I want to say I'm not certain, but I think he was I think he was doing the movie Without a Paddle.
Oh, I was going to think that Dirk Diggler movie or whatever.
No, he was doing something.
Era.
He was doing something in there where and I don't exactly know, but I think it was Without a Paddle. I think it was. But he was out somewhere else and he couldn't make the video. So we transitioned to concept number 2, and I was going to go back to my hometown of Blue Ridge, Georgia, because we have the Swan Drive-In in Blue Ridge, and that's where I spent. My grandfather did all the grading for it back in the 50s. I wanted to go back home and do the video there. And one thing led to another, and because of budget and all that kind of stuff, we decided to go to Franklin, Kentucky, which is just right up the road here, and shoot the video there at the drive-in.
Well, it worked,
and it's
great.
gone.
It worked great.
It's all gone.
And the video still lives on YouTube. It's still getting tons of views.
Oh yeah,
he's got more views than that movie that he sold you up with. Mark Wills,
but he got paid a lot more.
Maybe. More with Mark Wills coming up on Honky Tonkin. Mark Wills is our guest this week, and a big weekend it is. His sixth
Grand Ole Opry induction anniversary. Yes,
yeah.
And maybe a baby.
And maybe a grandbaby.
Maybe a grandbaby.
And maybe a grandbaby. Oh, we're kind of on baby watch around here.
We are on baby watch. Trying
to see, we have a name?
We do. His name is Jack. Named after my father-in-law, Kelly's dad, who just passed away a few months ago, about a year ago.
Mark is, I love how you are, like everyone else, kind of cranking up all the social media stuff. You're starting to do a lot of that kind of stuff, or have been.
Yeah.
You can follow him on all social media. Just look up Mark Wills Music, Instagram, Twitter X, all of them.
Twitter X, Facebook, all those kind of things.
And we got more with Mark, some great stories and the stories behind the scenes of these songs over the years. Mark Wills is our guest this week on Honky Tonkin. Mark Wills, our guest this week on the show, and we love hearing all these stories. But once in the show, a couple of times in the show, actually, we ask our guests you pick a song. So what do you want to hear?
You know, man, I'll try to set this up without getting choked up. I'm a kind of a sentimental sissy.
Sure.
My oldest daughter, Mally, when she was born, I was sitting about 4 blocks away from here at a radio station in Nashville, and talking to a friend of mine from Atlanta. And we were talking. I was holding Mally while I was talking to her, feeding her a bottle, and I was basically going over all the precious things about having a newborn and all that kind of good stuff. And my buddy Monty Criswell called me, and he goes, "Dude, you don't know it, but you just wrote a song." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I was listening to your interview." He said, "You just wrote a song." He said, "I wrote down about 7 things that you said," and he said, "By the time you get here, the first verse will be done."
What?
I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, I'm getting ready to leave here." And I left, went over, and he and Michael White had started this song that came from the radio interview that I was doing, holding Mally. It was called "In My Arms," and "In My Arms" has turned out to be one of those songs that daddy daughters have used as their first dance, stuff like that. And and it's kind of
choking up.
It's kind of well, I get. It's a sentimental thing for me, but it's also very special because I've watched my little girl grow up. She's now becoming a mama for the second time, and there's nothing better than that. Nothing better than that.
Mark Wills, our guest. You can find him on all social media. Just look up Mark Wills Music, touring and new stuff that he's doing. But, when you look back at all the songs and all the touring, and is there a collaboration that you've done with an artist that you're just like, wow, I really, there was something with that artist or whatever?
I think one of my favorite ones. Of course, I sang a song with Chad Brock on his record. Chad's been a dear friend of mine for a long time. He actually used to be my next door neighbor. I recorded a duet with Jamie O'Neill. I recorded a duet with Leanne Womack for the Tom Sawyer project.
You were the voice, right?
I was the voice of Huckleberry Finn,
which
is where my grandson's named after.
Oh, is that
my grandson's named Huck.
Oh, wow.
And so that's where Huck came from, was my character in the movie. And it's done several things, but I think the song that I loved the version and loved getting to do was to honor my dad. Ronnie Millsap and I went into the studio and we recorded his song, "Prisoner of the Highway." My daddy was a truck driver, and I always loved those truck driving songs. I loved that song. I loved Rollin' 18-Wheeler. Loved all that.
Oh, the Alabama song.
Exactly.
I love all the trucking. Convoy gets me every time.
That's what's great about
America.
Country music is the only genre of music I know of that has not just one, but a whole slew of truck driver songs.
Yeah, we got trucking songs, baby.
Absolutely, man.
More of the Mark Wills.
Come on back, truckers, and talk to Teddy Bear.
He's our guest this week on Honky Tonkin. It's an honor to have the one and only Mark Wills as our guest this week. And, look at you. And it looks like you're at a school here. What's going on here?
Oh, yeah, man. I do a thing every year. Not every year, but I try to go into a school. And my sister-in-law is a teacher, and she uses Don't Laugh at Me, and she teaches the kids around it. And so this year, if it's what I'm thinking of, it was myself and my friend Jenna Lee, who has Down syndrome, and she had learned the sign language for Don't Laugh at Me.
Wow!
We went in and she kind of did a sign language class for the kids.
So you're performing acoustic, and she is doing the sign.
Yeah.
On signing for the kids in the class.
Yeah. Cry myself to sleep. When he gets to the chorus, listen to the kids sing.
The kids are going to sing along?
Oh, I had no idea. I literally almost lost it.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about these. These are kids.
These are kids from all different walks of life.
And they're like
second graders.
Kids who weren't even a glimmer in their parents' eyes whenever the song was
probably
humongous.
Their parents were born when this song was out, but listen right here.
Don't laugh at me. Don't call me names. Don't get your pleasure from my pain. Who's in God's house? We're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me.
Dude,
Wow,
that's
you kidding me?
amazing.
Jeez. Mark Wills, and this song that is, wow, so many great stories and so many great behind the scenes as Mark Wills is our guest this week.
It's my favorite song I ever recorded.
Mark Wills is our guest this week, and so do you go see other artists, your friends and stuff a lot for like in concert?
Oh yeah.
Who are some of the guys that you and girls that you like to go?
I mean, well, I don't get a chance to go out very often, and living in Atlanta, it's kind of it's a crapshoot because if it's on the weekend, I'm gone. I went to see the Eagles not too long ago. Went to see.
I've heard of them. I've heard of them. Yeah.
Went to see Vince. I typically will go to Opry shows all the time in Nashville. I will walk in the back door. I will wave. I will walk out, sit down somewhere where there's
side
a
stage.
seat.
The audience.
I'll go out and sit in the audience.
Pull your hat down low.
I don't ever
put your hood over your head. Nobody knows it's you.
No, because then you look like the Unabomber.
I just tried to do it, and I about took down the microphone.
No, but I mean, I go out, and I like to go out. We never get to see the show from front of house.
Yeah.
Rarely ever.
Yeah.
And so I do that all the time. If there's a Saturday night, like okay, let's use this weekend, but I'll probably be at the Ryman Friday night for the show, and just go out and sit down. Go up and stand by front of house.
Oh, it's so
I love doing that kind of stuff.
I love that you're a fan of the music and you're a fan of other artists.
If you're doing this as a job and you're not a fan of it, go find a different job.
For sure. We are excited. We got more with our guest this week, Mr. Mark Wills, coming up. Mark Wills is our guest. You can find him online, Mark Wills Music, on all the social apps, and check out his touring as well. So part of the show, you get to pick another song. It's a dealer's choice. What you got?
I feel like we're rolling down the birth of children vein today, and so
we're waiting on Mark's daughter to have his baby.
Another grandbaby coming.
Yeah, the phone's sitting right here in front of me, and every time the phone goes off, I'm like,
you gotta go, guys.
Okay, yeah, not my wife. Okay, we're good. No, so. One of my favorite songs that we do in the show is a song called "Loving Every Minute," and when we were shooting the video for this, we came up with the concept. It's 4 different screens in the video screen, and you see me, and I'm doing the lip syncing, throughout the thing. But you see 3 different screens, and you see like a man and woman running through an airport, and you see a police officer responding code 1 to something, and you see another girl, and she's trying to get somewhere, and you have no idea where they're coming to. And the culmination of the video is that it's all family, and they're all showing up at the hospital because the police officer and his wife are having a baby.
Oh, wow.
And it's pretty cool.
All right, so that's going to be in my head.
That.
That's going to be in my head as we listen to it.
Yeah.
Mark Will's our guest this week, and you're an Atlanta guy. You're a Georgia guy.
Yeah.
And you're touring. You got new stuff going on, like new albums, EPs. What do we call them nowadays?
Man, we've done something pretty neat. I can't go into too much detail about what it is. What I can tell you is that in the last 50 years of music history, this is only the second time it's been done.
Oh, is there about to be a Mark Will's hologram?
No, because I'm still here.
Duet.
No, I'm still here. No, I mean, there's a fatter version of me, but I'm still here. So no, we've done something really, really, really cool that I wanted to do for a long time in my career. I went in with my band and recorded some new songs. So I've got some new music that's ready to see the light of day, and then I've got something else that's very, very special. And in 2025 promises to somewhere in the very near future, you'll start hearing the rumors and the rumblings about what we did.
All right, so we've said it before. Follow him on social media, Mark Will's Music at Mark Will's Music, and then you're going to never miss it whenever the announcement comes out.
Exactly. All right, we got more with Mark coming up. Mark Wills is our guest this week. Talk to us about "Wish You Were Here."
You know, man, Bill Anderson, Skip Ewing, Debbie Moore wrote this song, and you know, I always go back to how I found this song, and it's so funny. Carson Chamberlain was over at Mercury, and that's back in the day when they would send you, they would find 4 or 5 songs, and they would put them on a cassette tape, and they would send them to you, right? And my wife and I had a dog, and the dog had puked all over the carpet. I was cleaning carpet, and I had put it in this boom box, and I was just listening to songs. And "Wish You Were Here" was one of the demos. And I was literally cleaning carpet, and I heard the song, and I was like, "Oh, that's good." And I stopped, rewound it, and listened back to it again. I was like, "Oh, that's really good." Because story songs are still to me what country music is. Mm-hmm. I was up this morning getting ready to come see you boys, and I had Ronnie Millsap's 40 number ones. And I'm listening to that, while I'm in the shower, and I'm just like I'm singing every word to every song, and and I could do that to Vern Gosdin, I could do that to George Jones, I could do that to all of those greats, but the one thing that they all had in common was that they all told great stories, and I felt like "Wish You Were Here" was just one of those stories that there wasn't a definite ending to it. It left it up to you as to a couple of the details in there to where it would fit different circumstances. And what's great about this song is that I've literally had people come up to me at shows that had lost a family member in a plane crash or something like that, say, "Man, you don't have any idea how much this song helped me."
Man, what a great time we have. Mark Wills, our guest. And Mark, oh, man, the best. Thank you. Thank you for spending some time with us and giving us the behind the scenes on so many of these great songs.
Thank you, man. I'll tell you what, it's good to walk down memory lane. And as we sit here and listen to these, I caught myself, and I think I said it earlier, I was like, man, I sound like a 10-year-old when I recorded these things. I was 22, 23 years old when I recorded. It's been a long time since I've listened to the songs, and and I feel like, man, I'm a man now. My voice is deeper than it was.
You could totally do the sexy versions of it.
That's right.
What's the guy, Barry White?
Yeah, you Barry White them all.
Be like,
don't laugh at me.
It was 19-something. Yeah.
Hey, make sure you follow Mark online for all the new stuff that he's got going on. He's a busy, busy boy. Mark Wills Music on all social media.
And can I also add, if you want to book him, how does somebody go? Because there's a lot of clubs going, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about Mark Wills. We got to have him play here."
WME, man. Call WME, William Morris.
WME. Yeah. All right. I love that kind of stuff because you know what? There's people saying right now, this is the music I want in my place. This is the music I want on my radio.
It should be. Mark Wills, everyone. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Turn it up, y'all. It's time to go. Honky Tonkin on the radio. With Big D and Bubba.